The vote. The chamber of the Galactic Council stretched like a cathedral of light and steel. Rows of alien delegates sat behind floating consoles, their voices mixing into a storm of arguments. The walls shimmered with holographic maps of star systems, trade lines, and military fleets. At the very center of the hall stood the voting platform, glowing like a cold sun. Today's session was not routine. It was not about trade disputes or border patrols. It was about Earth. Humanity had been placed on trial before the galaxy. The chairman, a tall insectoid from the Zaith Collective, raised his chitinous arm and struck the metallic gavel. The sound echoed like thunder. The chamber grew quiet, though the tension only grew heavier. "We are here," the chairman declared, his voice buzzing across the translators, "to decide the fate of the Terran species. Their history is one of war. Their rise has been unnatural. They do not submit to order. They do not bend to control. They must be banished from the council." Whispers rippled through the chamber. Dozens of alien species nodded in agreement, their scaled heads, feathered necks, and luminous eyes showing approval. Some muttered about humanity's unpredictability, others about their dangerous inventions. The delegate from the Varnak, a massive creature with skin like stone, growled, "Humans are clever but reckless. They adapt too fast. Give them 1 century more and they will challenge all of us. We should exile them before it is too late." Another voice joined, from the sleek and cold-faced Saranth. "Exile is mercy. What they deserve is destruction, but we will vote for exile, so history remembers us as merciful." At one side of the hall, the human delegation sat in silence. There were only 3 of them, outnumbered, surrounded by hundreds of alien eyes. Their faces were unreadable. No protests, no speeches, only stillness. It disturbed the council more than if they had shouted. The chairman pressed a claw against the glowing console. "Then let the vote begin." One by one, alien delegates raised their hands or pressed symbols on their consoles. Holograms above the chamber recorded every decision. Yes for exile. No for mercy. The votes burned in cold, blue light across the ceiling. Yes. 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 The words repeated again and again, the chamber filled with voices of agreement, species after species choosing to banish Earth. The total climbed quickly, far too quickly for any doubt. A nervous whisper came from a young delegate of the Trilon. "What if they resist?" The Saranth delegate smirked. "What can 300 worlds do against thousands?" Another laugh followed. "Humans cannot resist all of us. They are finished." The votes continued. Blue light after blue light, almost unanimous. Only a few scattered no votes came, mostly from smaller races who traded with Earth or feared human retaliation. But their numbers were drowned by the overwhelming tide. Finally, the chairman stood. "The votes are counted. The decision is clear. By order of this council, Earth and its colonies are banished. They are to be denied trade, denied alliance, denied entry to council space. They are no longer welcome in this galaxy's order." The chamber erupted in applause and alien cries of victory. Some pounded their tables. Some hissed with satisfaction. Others smiled with too many teeth. For them, this was triumph. The galaxy had removed its most dangerous rival, yet silence lingered where the humans sat. The council turned to look. Cameras shifted, lights fell upon the human delegation. Everyone waited for outrage, for a speech, for some desperate last plea. But the human envoy only stood, slowly, calmly. His expression was unreadable. His companions rose beside him. Without a word, they turned and walked out of the chamber. Their footsteps echoed against the metallic floor until the doors shut behind them. The silence that followed was unsettling. "Is that it?" whispered the Trilon delegate again. The Saranth sneered. "They are broken. Let them crawl back to their little planet. Their time is over." But in the higher balconies where older species watched with colder wisdom, some did not clap. The Kalari, a species of ancient starfarers, exchanged a glance. One murmured, Humans do not yield so quietly. This silence is not weakness. It is warning. The words were swallowed by the noise of celebration, but they would not be forgotten, for the vote had passed. Humanity was banished, and yet no one in the chamber truly understood what silence meant when it came from Earth. The silence of humanity, the news of Earth's banishment spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Within hours, every trade hub, every military outpost, and every merchant convoy carried the same headline across their networks. Earth expelled, humanity exiled. Galactic Council votes overwhelmingly in favor. Alien markets cheered. Stock exchanges in distant nebulae rose with the sudden drop of Terran competition. Traders celebrated, believing humans would soon beg for scraps without galactic support. Many species toasted their own victory over mankind. But something was strange. The humans did not protest. They did not issue angry declarations. They did not send fleets to blockade council space. Instead, they said nothing. In the days that followed, council intelligence agencies listened carefully. They spied on human channels, intercepted communications, hacked into Terran data streams. They expected chaos, shouting, desperate messages of diplomacy. But the networks were quiet. Earth was busy, too busy, but not with anger, with planning. One Varnak general, frustrated, slammed his stone fist against a war table. Why are they silent? Where are their speeches? Where are their pathetic cries for mercy? His advisor, a smaller lizard-like creature, hissed nervously. Perhaps they are preparing. Humans never waste time, the general snarled. Nonsense, they are broken. They are nothing without us. Yet the unease grew. Far from the Council's capital on the blue and white world called Earth, the silence had meaning. In an underground chamber beneath Geneva, representatives from Earth's scattered colonies gathered around a massive holographic table. Their faces were stern, their voices low. At the head sat Ambassador Marcus Hale, the same man who had stood in silence when the Council announced exile. He finally spoke. They voted to banish us. They think exile is the end. The room remained quiet, waiting. Hale's eyes swept across the chamber. But banishment is freedom. For the first time, no council law binds us. No alien charter restricts us. They thought they cast us out. But what they gave us was power. The hologram shifted, showing star maps of trade routes and military patrols. Red lines glowed across the galaxy. We know their systems better than they know themselves. We have studied every weakness. We know their dependence on Terran engines, Terran medicine, Terran crops. Half their fleets run on technologies reverse-engineered from us. Now, we choose who gets access. The silence around the table broke. Murmurs of agreement filled the air. Colonists from Mars, Luna, Titan, and far-off Proxima leaned forward. Then we do not beg? One asked. No, Hale said firmly. We set the rules. Meanwhile, across council space, fear quietly began to creep into alien hearts. On the rim colonies of the Saranth, strange reports emerged. Convoys traveling near human borders vanished without a trace. Not destroyed, just gone. The Saranth patrol ships investigating found their navigational systems disabled, their engines locked down by unknown signals. When they returned, the convoys were waiting at their destination, perfectly intact, but shaken. A Saranth commander demanded an explanation from his crew. One officer whispered, "The Terrans were there, sir. They boarded us, but they did not kill. They simply left us with a message." "What message?" the commander hissed. The officer swallowed hard. "The rules have changed." In another corner of the galaxy, the Trilon, a small but clever race, gathered in secret. Their ambassador had been one of the few no votes during the Council's exile decision. Now his people were nervous. "Did we make a mistake?" one elder asked. "We voted against the exile, but now, what if the humans strike everyone?" The ambassador shook his head. "You do not understand. Humans are not vengeful without cause. But if provoked, they will strike harder than any other species. Their silence is not surrender. It is preparation. The elder trembled. Then what do we do? The ambassador's voice was grim. We wait, and we pray we chose correctly. Back in the council capital, the mood was shifting. At first, the banishment had been a victory celebration, but as days passed with no human protests, no cries of outrage, the unease grew heavier. The Saranthan voice sneered in a session. Their silence proves they are defeated. But the Kalari, old and cautious, leaned forward. No, silence is not defeat. Silence is patience, and patience is the sharpest blade of all. A hush fell across the chamber. Some laughed nervously, others waved the warning away. But in their hearts the truth was sinking in. The humans had walked away from the council chamber without a word. Now entire star systems wondered, what would they say when they finally decided to speak? And more terrifying still, what if they chose not to speak at all? The first signs, the galaxy expected chaos after Earth's exile. Instead, it received silence. But silence has weight. Silence spreads. Silence makes others uneasy. And slowly, silence turned into whispers. It began at the borders. A Saranth mining fleet drifted through the Orion Spur. Its cargo holds heavy with refined alloys. The convoy's escorts moved lazily, confident that no power dared challenge Saranth ships in council-protected space. But this time, council law no longer applied. The lead freighter's lights flickered, its engines cut out. One by one, the rest of the convoy powered down. Panic spread across the bridge. Sabotage? Pirates? On their radar, a single ship appeared, small, old, human-built. The escorts scrambled to lock weapons, but their consoles went dark. Their targeting systems froze. Across every screen, a single message appeared in Terran Standard. Trade without balance is theft. Your cargo is claimed. Before the Saranth could respond, docking clamps latched onto their ships with surgical precision. Human soldiers in black exosuits boarded without firing a single shot. They moved quickly, quietly, disabling weapons, locking engines and sealing the crew in place. Not one life was taken. When the convoy finally limped back to Saranth space, their cargo bays were empty, but their crews were alive. Every survivor repeated the same chilling words. The humans said, "The rules have changed." At first, the council laughed. Petty raids, the chairman scoffed. Acts of desperation, they cannot stand against the full council. But then the disappearances multiplied. A Varnak war cruiser returning from patrol found every one of its supply lines blocked. Its fuel depots had been drained, its communications jammed. For 3 days, the mighty warship drifted helplessly, watched by tiny human ships that never fired a single weapon. A Trilon trading hub woke to find their entire station surrounded by Terran vessels. Instead of attacking, the humans simply took control of the station's navigation relays. No ships entered or left until Terran instructions were obeyed. When the blockade lifted, trade rules had been rewritten, and now every shipment passed through Terran-approved channels. The most unsettling thing, not a single casualty was reported. Not one station burned, not one colony destroyed. The humans were not waging war, they were enforcing law. Their law. Rumors grew. On distant worlds, alien merchants whispered in bars about the new human code. No exploitation of weaker species. No slavery under council protection. Fair trade or no trade at all. Violate the code and your ships disappear. At first, these sounded like myths, but soon they became reality. Entire fleets shifted their routes to avoid Terran patrols. Merchants begged to sign agreements with human envoys. Even smugglers, once fearless, spoke with shaking voices. The Terrans are everywhere. Inside the council chambers, fear grew heavy. Delegates shouted at one another, their voices sharp with panic. They are destabilizing the galaxy. They are interfering with trade. They are seizing resources that do not belong to them. But when asked to strike back, None volunteered. The Saranth, once proud and eager for war, had seen their convoys humiliated. The Varnak's mighty warships had been left powerless, starved of fuel. Even the Trilon, small and cautious, whispered that perhaps the humans' rules made sense. The chairman pounded his gavel. "This is lawlessness. We must act." But one Kalari elder spoke calmly. His ancient voice carried across the hall. "No, this is not lawlessness. This is order. Their order. And perhaps it is stronger than ours." The words silenced the chamber. Back on Earth, Ambassador Marcus Hale reviewed the growing reports of Terran enforcement. Around him, military officers and civilian leaders watched holograms of seized convoys, redirected trade lanes, and signed agreements. One officer asked, "Should we escalate? Show the Council true force?" Hale shook his head. "Force is not needed. They gave us exile, but exile gave us freedom. Now we show them. The galaxy runs on human terms, or it does not run at all." He leaned forward, eyes sharp. "We will not scream. We will not beg. We will not declare war. We will simply make our rules known. And they will obey. Not because they want to, but because they have no choice." The room fell into silence. The kind of silence that carried weight. The kind that echoed across the stars. In the far reaches of Council space, a Saranth commander stared at his empty cargo bays, his pride shattered. He whispered to his crew, "We thought exile was their end, but I fear it was only their beginning." And somewhere, in the dark between stars, Terran ships waited silently, watching, enforcing, unstoppable. For the first signs had appeared, and the galaxy was beginning to understand what silence truly meant. The Council learns fear. The Galactic Council chamber no longer felt like a place of order. It felt like a cage of panic. Delegates shouted over one another, their voices cracking with fear. Reports streamed across the great holographic wall, convoys seized, fleets stranded, colonies blockaded. The same words repeated again and again. In intercepted transmissions, "The humans have made their rules known." The Saranth ambassador slammed his clawed hand on the table. "They have stolen from us. They hijack our fleets, our stations. This is war." The Varnak delegate, his stone-like skin dull with shame, growled back. "War. We tried to move our warships. They cut our fuel, locked our systems, and left us drifting like children's toys. How do you fight an enemy who wins without firing a single weapon?" The chamber roared with argument, but underneath it all lay one truth no one wanted to say aloud. They were afraid. Fear spread outside the chamber, too. On the rim colonies, merchants who once laughed at human defiance now rushed to sign agreements with Terran envoys. A single small ship would appear in orbit, broadcasting calmly, "Your station violates human code. Fix it, or be cut off. No shots fired, no blood spilled." And yet, within days, every station obeyed. Slavers who once trafficked in helpless species found their ships trapped in stasis fields. Their victims were freed, their accounts drained, their fleets left floating in space like hollow shells. The slavers lived, but they lived ruined. Even smugglers whispered the same fear in every shadowy bar across Council space. The humans don't kill you. That's worse. They let you live with the memory. Inside the Council, denial slowly cracked into dread. One delegate cried, "We are the Council. We control half the galaxy's fleets, 3/4 of its trade. They cannot overpower us all." But the Kalari elder's eyes, old as starlight, narrowed. "Do you not see? They do not need to overpower us. They control what matters: trust, fear, survival. They strike not with weapons but with rules, rules sharper than blades." The words sank like ice into the hall. For the first time in memory, the Council felt powerless. Meanwhile, on Earth, Ambassador Marcus Hale stood before a gathering of human leaders. Behind him, holograms glowed with intercepted Council debates. The aliens' panic was visible, their arguments desperate. Hale's voice was calm. "Do you see it? They thought they banished us. They thought exile was punishment, but exile unchained us. They built a cage for us, and instead, They trapped themselves inside it. He pointed to the star maps shifting above the table. Whole sectors of council space now flickered under Terran control, not through conquest but through obedience. Stations, fleets, and colonies had bent quietly, afraid of being cut off. A young officer frowned. And if they resist? If the Council unites its fleets? Hale's answer was steady. Then they will learn what they always feared, that humanity does not fight to survive. We fight to win. And we win by rules they never understood. Back at the Council, a new report shattered whatever pride remained. A Saranth colony world had attempted defiance. They rejected Terran demands for fair trade. Within a single week, their supply lines collapsed. No medicine, no fuel, no crops. Every ship they sent vanished into silence. Their people begged the Council for aid, but even the Council's fleets could not reach them. The Saranth delegate, once arrogant, now stood shaking. They starve us without firing a shot. What monster fights this way? The Varnak's voice was heavy. Not monsters. Strategists. The chamber went silent. And then the Kalari elder spoke the words everyone feared. They do not need to destroy us. They need only remind us that the galaxy runs when they allow it, and stops when they decide. The truth could no longer be denied. The humans had not been banished. They had been unleashed. That night, across the stars, strange new signals lit up alien skies. Not broadcasts of surrender, not threats, but declarations, simple, direct, unstoppable. Humanity enforces balance. Exploit and you lose. Trade fairly and you thrive. These are the rules. Break them, and you will answer to us. Some species obeyed instantly, signing agreements and adjusting their systems. Others hesitated, afraid to anger the Council. But, one by one, they bent, because they knew the Council could not protect them. The Saranth ambassador, once proud, now sat slumped in the Council chamber. His whisper carried through the silence. We thought we banished them, but it is we who live under exile now. In the shadows of space, Terran fleets did not celebrate, did not boast. They waited, watching, silent. And in that silence, the galaxy learned fear. The new rules of the galaxy. The Council chamber looked different now. The proud voices of aliens were gone. No applause, no cheers, no celebration, only silence. The great holographic wall glowed with reports from across the galaxy. Terran patrols at trade hubs. Terran blockades at border stations. Terran envoys signing new agreements one after another. The words human code enforced appeared on system after system. The Council had voted to banish Earth. And yet here they sat, helpless, watching as the humans rewrote the galaxy without their permission. The chairman slammed his gavel. It sounded weak, hollow. This cannot continue. We must stand united. We must remind them the Council rules this galaxy. But no one moved. Delegates who once shouted for war now kept their heads low. They remembered stranded fleets, vanished convoys, silenced colonies. They remembered how the humans had broken, them without a single battle. A heavy door opened at the far side of the chamber. Every head turned. 3 figures walked inside. Human envoys. The same delegation that had left in silence weeks ago. They entered calmly, without guards, without ceremony. Their footsteps echoed against the cold floor. The chairman's mandibles clicked in anger. You dare return? You are banished. Ambassador Marcus Hale did not raise his voice. He did not need to. His words carried like iron through the silence. No, we are not banished. We are free, and freedom has rules. He raised his hand. A hologram bloomed in the center of the chamber, filling the hall with Terran symbols that shifted into clear, translated words. The human charter. The delegates leaned forward, reading the glowing lines. No slavery in any form. No exploitation of weaker worlds. Trade must be equal, not theft. No Council fleet may enter human space without permission. Any species who violates these rules will lose the right to trade, to travel, to grow. The Saranth ambassador hissed. This is tyranny. Hale's gaze fixed on him. No, this is balance. You called us dangerous. You were right, but you mistook danger for weakness. You thought exile would chain us. Instead, it unchained us. Now we make the rules, not through conquest, not through destruction, but through order. Break that order, and you will see what true exile feels like. The chamber was frozen. Some delegates trembled. Others clenched their jaws in anger but said nothing. Even the proud Varnak, carved from stone, lowered his eyes. The Kalari elder spoke softly, his voice carrying the weight of centuries. You have turned exile into dominance. You have done what no council ever managed. You brought law where chaos ruled. We feared you, but perhaps it is we who needed you. Hale's expression did not soften. Need us or not, the choice is gone. These are the rules. The galaxy follows them, or the galaxy stops. Beyond the chamber, across star systems, the message spread. Terran broadcasts reached colonies, stations, fleets. Some resisted, most obeyed. Slowly, a new pattern took shape. Trade became fairer. Weak races gained protection. Slavery rings crumbled. Even criminal syndicates fell silent, unwilling to risk Terran attention. It was not peace. It was not war. It was something new. The new rules of the galaxy. In the shadows of the chamber, the Saranth ambassador leaned toward the Varnak with a whisper. We thought we cast them out. We thought we made them weak. The Varnak's stone jaw tightened. We were fools. We thought exile meant silence. But their silence was a warning. And now, silence rules us all. As the human delegation turned to leave, the chamber remained in silence. No one dared speak. No one dared defy. Marcus Hale paused at the door, looked back once, and spoke the final words the council would never forget. You banished Earth. Now Earth has banished you. From the future you thought you controlled. The galaxy belongs to no council, no empire. It belongs to balance. And balance begins with us. The doors closed behind him. And in that moment, the galaxy understood. The vote to banish Earth had not ended humanity. It had ended the galaxy's freedom from humanity. The humans had spoken, and their silence was over.